washing machine, fridge, smart TV, air conditioner, kitchen items amadi makal khudingmakki home appliances kidamak hoina waningai lete. Kaisampat Kunjeng Hazari Lekai da leiba Mezo of Impalna ahongbo mamalda item khudingmakki up to 50% discount da offer pizari. Wedding set unalogu matamdasu special oiba discount kaya su thamjari. Interest amatta yaudena 0% EMI loan ni kudong chabasu thamjari. Kudong chabasi mangan biraganu ngasi maklengsin biragu Mezo of Impal Kaisampat Kunjeng Hazari Lekai.
Adom gari macha darkar oibibra Supnagi minute kuntragi manungda document ichang changdana Vespa amadi Aprilia gi apamba model sing supna dagi lupa lising tara khaktang puthok piduna loan unilawba yabagi khudong chaba pizare Akupa marol kidamak contact tobirau 9089895330 amadi 9615823252 Tulasi Motors Private Limited Thangmaiban amadi Sangai Pro Kudong Chaba si mangan bigano ngasi mag-contact tobirau terms and conditions apply
Hello and a very good evening. Welcome to ELITETV's Open Debate in English. I'm Longjam Utpala, your host for tonight. The Manipur Board Class 12 and 10 exams will be held from February 23rd to April 1st, 2023. Recently, the Assam called upon the state government to enact a penal law to punish the perpetrators guilty for cheating and exam proxy practices. It has been alleged that OCs of exam centers, AOs and ASOs might be involved in cases of unfair practices such as mass cheating or copying, insincere invigilators, leaking of question papers, etc. But due to a slow investigation process and an absence of state law to penalize the cheats, such fraudulent practices continue undeterred. Examination nowadays just want children to learn everything word by word. Nobody is interested in what the child has understood. Therefore, this knowledge isn't used anywhere. It's eaten, digested, and excreted. So rather than checking efficiency, education system is checking mugging up capability. It's just not what it is supposed to be. So that brings us to the topic for our open debate tonight, examinations of class 10 and 12, preparation. Let me quickly introduce our panelists for tonight. Joining us tonight, going from the left of my screen to the right, we have Professor Amar Yumnam, former VC Manipur University. Welcome to Open Debate, ELITETV Open Debate, Professor. And next we have Mr. Bijoy, socio-political commentator. Welcome to ELITETV Open Debate, Mr. Bijoy. And last but not the least, we have Mr. Sapam Shyamananda, career counselor, Lamjing Meira. Welcome to ELITETV Open Debate, Shyamananda. Once again, a warm welcome to all our three panelists. Let's begin our topic, our open debate for today. So I'll start with Professor Amar Yumnam. Professor, can you give us some overall tips on how to manage stress by the students during the examinations?
Well, class 10 and 12 examinations are the examinations Manipur treat with great value. And in fact, they are important also in the sense class 10 and the 12 exams signify the end of one stage of education in one's life. And the significance of school education lies in the fact that it creates the foundation for further studies. It teaches the character of how to become a responsible citizen, and it also well assesses how prepared the nation is to strengthen the civilization and transaction. Well, looking at this, class 10 and 12 exams, we need to be very, very careful in the sense that well, what we really want our society to be like, we have to be very clear on that issue. And in fact, while we were students and appearing for class 10 and 12 exams, I'm talking about end of 1960s and beginning of 1970s. And those days, education was a social event. Everybody took interest, the society collectively took interest. So any child, whether somebody's child or our own child, we all took collective responsibility, collective care to see to it that all the children do well and they do not unnecessarily feel pressure of that.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, during the last decade or little more, education in Manipur has now lost the social character. It has become almost something which is being taught and learned at the individual, family, and personal level. And that puts lots of pressure on the children, starting from preparation, well, tuition. Tuition, we also went, but in certain portions of certain areas where we feel particularly weak, we went for tuition. But now, it is almost as if the expensive tuition has replaced what is being taught collectively with social character in the schools.
Right.
And the present competition is such that the social aspect having disappeared, the pressure on the student now is much more because every child has to prove at his or her level to see, so that he or she is in a something superior to the others. And that has become the orientation, the yardstick of whether how worthy a child is for education or things like that.
Yes.
Their social purpose is good. And it is exactly at this point that ELITETV has brought up this issue, how to shape the children. I definitely request the children not to worry much about examination. Well, I don't mean to say that don't prepare for it, but try to be as sincere and be yourself. Be yourself and try to answer whatever is being, of course, the way exams are conducted is altogether different. All lots of issues are there. The way we do exams and the way exams are being conducted around in Europe, America, and right now in Southeast Asia, including Thailand.
Right.
Lots of reforms are being done, but unfortunately, it has not reached that stage. But to begin with, I definitely request the children not to be overwhelmed by the tensions for exams. Be cool and be confident of whatever you know. If you know, fine. Even if you don't know, so what? What is important is the character associated with education that will determine in the long run what kind of a person the boy or girl becomes in the long run.
Absolutely.
All the best.
All right, that's a very good point Professor Amar Yumnam has made. Thank you so much. I'll come back to you in the next round. We'll move to Mr. C.H. Bijoy. Well, Mr. Bijoy, what kind of support do you think parents can give to the students? Who I think you're on mute.
Hello.
Yes, okay. So, can you tell us, Mr. C.H. Bijoy, can you tell us what kind of support can parents give to the students before, during and after the examinations?
You see, as Professor Amar has rightly said, the education pattern in the modern days have drastically changed from those in the 1960s and 70s. Those days, it might have seemed primitive, but the products of those days are much better than the present day students that is produced by our system. And the government and the people are much concerned about mass copying, cheating, and the other impairment in the examination. Of course, that should be a great issue for concern. But the thing is that nowadays examination and teaching methods are too much result oriented. Result oriented. That is the main issue. A student should be taught, he should be examined, interviewed,
Right.
whether he has absorbed the subject matter of his syllabus and what the book writer or the teacher is trying to impregnate his mind with all the necessary part of the thing. Instead of that, teachers are more indulging in what is a question suggestion and say high marks, all these things.
Right.
This kind of thing is just like putting the cart before the horse. Let any exam come. If the student is well ingrained in his syllabus, subject matter, he's ready to face any exam and there will be less stress and strain.
Right.
Nowadays, the student's future is well connected with the 10 and the 12 exam. In the early days of 1970s, what happens is that there were very less unfair practices during the examination. Unfair practice in the examination is directly related to the corruption and the nepotism of government recruitment process.
Right.
For example, say in the earlier days, merit was given primacy during recruitment.
Yes.
And then there was almost negligible corruption and nepotism. So the aim of every student is to land themselves in a good government job. They want that. So they were more eager to have knowledge and follow the subject and what general knowledge and any other subject to get themselves recruited. But suddenly, this corruption and nepotism come in the government processes slowly and cause disappointment to many parents and the student community. So it percolated down right to the bottom that merit is now taken a back seat, it is useless. What you need is just a certificate. To enroll yourself in form fill-up and to be qualified for the exam. In the final selection list, merit is never considered till that. It shouldn't be confined only to the level of class 10 and 12. In the highest level, just see the scandals surrounding the civil service recruitment of 2016 conducted by the MPSC. And just see what the role of our government doing in handling the case. And about the same time in 2013, case for job scandal took place in Assam. The Assam government acted very promptly and the Assam police arrested all the involved candidates, officials and were sent to jail.
Okay.
They had no need to rope in the CBI and other central agency. In Manipur, in every recruitment policy or process, there is some scandal or rumor, some allegation coming out, and people always demand a CBI probe. Why? Because they don't trust the state agency. That indirectly means that state agency, whatever, whoever is in the government is there, they don't trust it. This kind of mindset give a justification to the young students that using unfair means is the right way. Parents also agree to that. Parents cannot advise them rightly. Why? Because of what is taking place in our society.
Right.
You want me to get a job, so get some money ready, get some connection, and I'll have the certificate by hook or by crook. That mindset of by hook or by crook is creating all these things. And unfair means in examination is always one step ahead of the government, of the police. Like you say, the criminals are always one step ahead of the police.
Yes.
So it will go on until and unless we strike at the root cause. That is corruption and nepotism at the recruitment process in all the section of the government service. If that is not rectified, the thing will still continue to go on. And whatever the government, whatever step the government is taking up is only symptomatic solution. In other words, just firefighting. Like 144 curfew. These are of course necessary, but what led to such drastic action in the examination, where there should be free and carefree mind among the examinees.
Right.
Recently, the Prime Minister has said for Pariksha Mein Charcha, his main advice was not to have any stress or strain for the student and the parent. But what we are doing here is just the opposite.
Right.
And once again, I will say, I will not go into detail, that our concern for a fair examination should not be confined, should not be limited only to class and 12 level or college level.
Right.
It should be, our concern should go right up to the MPSC or higher recruitment process, once that is free of corruption and nepotism. Automatically, at the lower level also, merits will take primacy again, and the student eagerness for knowledge and others will increase. If the student quest for knowledge increases, the teachers will also change their attitude.
Right.
Those students who demand suggestion from teacher, tuition, automatically they reflect that they have not understood their subject very well. And it is the duty of every teacher in the classroom to make the students, even the weakest student, to see that if he or she has understood what he has just taught, he should not just, run over the syllabus every period and just claim his syllabus is over. The question is, how many of his students has followed his teaching? And as I have said earlier, it is too much result oriented. It should be knowledge oriented. Like, say, speaking about free and fair examination is amount to saying the election commission shouting for free and fair election.
Right.
Every election, we hear the election commission that they are taking this step, that step, and we are arresting this, that. But there is never, I have never seen free and fair election in recent time. It is same as that. This was for the first round.
Thank you so much for your views, Mr. C. Bijoy. I'll come back to you in the next round with more questions regarding the same, connected to this. I'll move to Mr. Sapam Shyamananda. Shyamananda, would a career beyond engineering, especially in case of our state, engineering and medicine, most students are stuck with these two streams. Do you think it's because of lack of awareness, or do you think only these two streams are more lucrative than others, or what do you think could be the reason that people cannot think beyond engineering and medicine, most people rather?
Yeah, great question, Utpala, and thank you once again for having me today.
Thank you for coming.
In this debate.
Thank you for joining us.
You know, it's good to be sitting next to Amar and Bijoy. In fact, I was just making a note of the question you asked Amar in the beginning, right? How do a student look at managing the stress in an exam, right? So the class 10 and 12 exam, being the board exam for the first time for a class 10 student who is appearing the board exam for the first time in their life, they face a very it's subtle, but it's very stressful, because they're going to write an exam which is conducted by the board, be it CBSE or be it the Board of Secondary Education Manipur, for the first time after having so used to writing exams in their schools, right? So there's complete pressure plus 10 grade. And what do I do in 11 and 12 combined with that? So many pressure. And then after 12, the pressure is on. But I think I just want to supplement a small point over there. And in fact, one of the points I was supplementing was connected to your question that you asked me, right? So first of all, I would say that board exams are just a first step. In fact, class 10 exam is actually not there in many countries, right? There's no so-called board class 10 board exam, because everything is considered as high school as one package, and there is 9, 10, and 11 and 12 in most of the developed nations, right? So in India, unfortunately, or the way the system is, we have a very stringent class 10 exam, and several jobs are linked to that class 10 exam, and there are diploma courses that someone has to go, someone can go after 10. So the 10 exam becomes very critical in that sense. But I just want to state that board exams are not the end of anybody's, of a child's career. So the stress level should be reduced from that standpoint. And secondly, it's many times we keep comparing. We keep comparing ourselves. The parents also compare, the student also compare. So if we stop comparing, our stress levels will also come down. And then lastly, I was actually noting down that if somebody is not, if somebody opted for medical and engineering, and if they do not get a chance to get a seat in medical and engineering, they think that their career is over. So that should not be there, and that comes to your question, right? So there is a combination of both awareness levels and also there's some sort of a inherent society that the way we talk about the word doctor in front of our names, right? So if you become a medicine doctor, the word doctor, I want him to be a doctor, and it's a doctor so and so, right? And then engineering is again, so consider those factors. I think it has come from that British era where Dr. Saheb, that Saheb culture is, I think, continuously going on.
Right.
And I hear that, in some states like Kerala and some states in Andhra, people opt engineering and medicine because for men in particular, the parents can ask for more dowry.
Oh, okay.
Even those things are there. But I think today, with the kind of information that we have in our fingertips, right? There is so many things that are available, and I would say that one can opt for sports as a career, music as a career, arts, and if you talk about anything that we do in the political arena, right? It's all about political science, economics. So many things are there. So I think a subject in economics in Delhi, in some of the places, the moment a student steps out, they'll know that subjects like economics, subjects like political science, subjects like English even, right, to an extent, it's like given a lot of priority, and the kind of marks that you need to get into some of the best colleges in Delhi and our other states is as equal as the best of the best students opt for that. So one is awareness levels, two, both from the student and the parents. I would say more for the parents. Sometimes I've been interacting with many students over the past so many years, and one thing I keep hearing is that so that's the end of the world, right? When my parents are not supporting my decision, and I'm pushed to the wall to take up engineering just because I happen to know mathematics. But guess what? I am very good at, let's say, soccer, or let's say I'm very good at boxing, okay? And we keep hearing so many news where people who are doing well in sports are getting the best of the best in terms of financial situation and other things, right? It's a very good lucrative career, and considering that Manipur has one of the best coaches in the whole of the country and even in the world, we have so many Olympians, right? I think a student choosing to do boxing, give him 10%, 10 times more importance than, or I'm saying any other sport, not necessarily boxing. There are so many sports. Even cricket is slowly starting in Manipur, right?
Yes.
So if a child wants to do cricket, I think parents should support them wholeheartedly rather than pushing the child and say, no, go for engineering, go for mathematics. I mean, having said that, any career that a child chooses, the parents should work together, what the child wants. There are many careers besides engineering and medical, and it's endless, right? And today, the world is moving towards this thing called artificial intelligence.
Yes.
So many things are there.
Exactly.
So even some of the engineering coding jobs are going to be, go away is what even people are talking about, right? So the world is moving towards that direction where multiple careers are coming up. And I think parents should necessarily talk to their children, ensure that the children, that what is that they want, right? What is that they really want to do? Something that I keep hearing from many successful, I would say, career counselors around the globe, right? They say that if you do something, and if that something doesn't make you tired, doesn't make you bored, if you can make a career out of that, that's the the end of the whole thing, right? So I think that's what I could suggest, that that students should look out for many more careers besides medical engineering, and parents should also support in doing that, is what I can say, Utpala.
Right. Thank you so much for your views, Shyamananda. I'll come back to you in the next round. We have many more questions related to what you said, but in the next round, I'll go back to Professor Amar now.
Well, let me just, in order to save time, let me just pick up with what Bijoy and my good friend Shyamananda have said.
Yes.
Well, the unfortunate part is that Bijoy has emphasized how corruption has crept in. And that too, as Shyamananda has put, in a period when professions are getting diversified extremely. The problem with corruption has caused is that Manipur has stopped evolution insofar as education is concerned. We had a wonderful strength in the education 1960s until about 1970s. But then what Bijoy has said, corruption has crept in. So the society has stopped applying its mind to how to evolve education. Well, examination is just a component of education. It's not something which is separate from education.
Right.
So the society has stopped evolving education which Manipur needs. And that is absolute tragedy. And the point is that what does Manipur have other than education? In fact, Manipur should be the place where education keeps on evolving in a sheer collective way, not at the individual level. At the individual level, what Manipur's education today, well, is competitive in the negative sense, much more competitive than it is in the United States.
Okay.
In the case of Manipur, what is happening is that my son should get more marks. I don't care for others.
Yes.
And my child should get a job. It's not like that in the US. They want all the children to learn absolutely well and master and understand the subjects, and the society evolves along with that. But in the case of Manipur, the social evolution of education as a foundation, education is the only one. Manipur doesn't have an industry, any well, industrial activity, things like that. Education is a primary thing where Manipur should be concentrating. That is exactly where the society has been stopped from applying its mind. That is what Bijoy has put so wonderfully well. But what has happened is that destroys the very purpose of education.
Right. Very true.
Well, as Bijoy has said, just scoring marks. Education, the purpose of education has been converted into well, preparing a wonderful citizens of the country into something where one gets into the exam and somehow copying or whatever you do, and you will have contacts among teachers also, well, invigilators also, you have your own contacts and things like that. So education, instead of teaching the well, culture of sincerity and sincere effort has now become a medium to do something wrongfully and to somehow get into a position in the society wrongfully. And that is exactly what has happened to education in Manipur. Today's education in Manipur is much more inferior to what it was, say, 20 years back, 30 years back. Manipur's education doesn't have the knowledge building capability which it used to have. Knowledge building, it was a sincere knowledge building, it included character. And today's knowledge building is not there, so character is not there, just memorization using unfair means. So for the moment, well, while wishing all the children all the best for the coming exams, what is important for Manipur is that the society as a whole, we need to rethink the very purpose of education and what kind of education Manipur needs, Manipur wants to give, and the government itself also should apply its mind. The government, well, right now what is happening is that even the time we have lost through COVID in the education sector, even that doesn't draw the attention of the government. Even the government doesn't worry about education.
That's really that seems really true, Professor. And also another Another thing that is happening these days is I think the education system here is more of rote learning rather than concept based. So children are not understanding what's happening in class, rather they're just taking down what the teachers are telling them, and they just, like we said in the beginning, they're just reproducing it on paper in the exam without understanding the actual meaning of what's being taught.
We have a situation where, well, curfews are imposed, 144s are imposed.
Yes.
Well, what kind of situation is that?
Yes.
We have a society where, in order to have peaceful conduct of examinations, we have to utilize the security forces through the legal means of restrictions. That means we have not applied our mind to give. Education is not for restriction.
Yes.
Education is to cultivate, nurture a culture of free thinking. But in our case, it's altogether very, very different, and it's really very, very unfortunate.
Yes, Professor. So I'll come to you. I'll come to the next question for this round. What are some of the unfair means that are used in examinations, and what is actually the penalty that the government has kept for such unfair means?
Hello.
Yes, Professor.
I want to ask Meira, are you?
No, the question is for Professor Amar Yumnam, because we haven't started off with the next round. So yeah, because I think that was just in continuation to the previous round. So now the question for this round for Professor Amar Yumnam, what are the unfair means that are used in examinations by students or invigilators, and what is the penalty for such unfair means?
See, what Bijoy has said, when there is so much corruption in order to get rewarded for your education, well, your education necessarily will be corrupted. Education is something which happened in the society where there is large-scale corruption. When the society as a whole, well, is marked by widespread corruption in both governance and the relationships, then education can never be free like it was earlier. So in order to have a meaningful education, we need to address, because education is in the society, we need to think of something about corruption which is happening in Manipur. And that is very important. We can't think of restrictions, because so long as corruption is there, people will try to get something or the other to see to it that, well, something we get favor. And that is it. Education is not for asking for favor. Education is for earning knowledge. It doesn't favor anybody. Education in the real sense does not favor anybody. Education is for everybody. And how to see to it that education reaches all the sections of the society, all the central of the society without discrimination. And that can happen only in a corruption-free society.
Right. Thank you for your views, Professor. I'll come back to you in the next round. I'll move to Mr. Sage Bijoy. Right, so, Mr. Sage Bijoy, can students prepare for examinations strategically rather than join coaching classes? And as we mentioned, it's usually rote learning or spoon-fed. So rather than that, do you think schools should take up some a different method of teaching them and not rush through the syllabus? Because what's basically happening is they're just trying to finish off the syllabus, and that's one of the reasons why students are unable to understand what's going on in class, and they have to take help of coaching classes. So how do you think they can prepare strategically rather than just depending on coaching?
There's no such thing as a strategic preparation for the student.
Okay.
Education is for freedom. Education is for courage. And if we make them very afraid, fearful, tension during or before the exam, we are converting human intelligence into artificial intelligence.
Okay.
That is not possible, and that is not healthy too. And there are so many other things besides IQ. There is emotional quotient and spiritual quotient, etc., etc. They are to be, what is it, taught at home as well as in the school too. Education starts right at home as soon as the child enters the age of 4 or 5 or even earlier. But what we are doing here is one very stereotype, old model education system where we are trying our best to make the students into robots. This will play havoc in society. We must never pressurize our children, or the teachers should never pressurize their students to become something, to become someone, and to score very high in academics. There are so many other things besides academics, like sports, music, dance, painting, and even say woodworking. And other things should be included. If not all, at least some must be included in the school curriculum. And the recently government has announced that NCC will be compulsory in all schools. I think it's a very good idea. NCC has 3 branches, infantry, navy, air force. This air force, they conduct so many parasailing, other things. They will, make the student very enthusiastic about the choice of their future career. And one thing I like to mention is that at home, the student or the children should be encouraged to make their own toys. Professor Amar also will agree that in our childhood, we never purchased toys from the shop or from the market. We made our own toys. We were capable of that. And what is the benefit of that? It fires up the scientific imagination of the child. Like even making a simple slingshot, or you must be knowing how we made in Manipuri, we call it dhori chapi, rubber powered, what's a kind of wheel moving with on a rubber power. We made so many things ourselves. Without any objection from the parents. That made us think and fired up our scientific imagination. This will do very good. And the young children also will learn to be less dependent on money for their happiness, for their pastime, for their pleasure. This is very important. The parents must indulge along with his or her children to make a kite to fly in windy season instead of buying one from the market. Buying one from the market, it is just a wastage of money of little benefit to the child. Besides this, I like to say that the leaders of the state, one must practice what he preaches. If he is clean, he will expect the lower level to be clean. You see, taking a bath to clean the whole body starts by throwing water on the head. Then the water percolates down to other parts of the body. Likewise, if the head is clean, all other things we are speaking about, corruption, nepotism, unfair practices in exam, and all these things will vanish slowly. And he or she will have the moral right, courage to do good to his subjects or to his children, students. We must teach the student by example, by setting an example. If the teacher or the headmaster or headmistress of the school is absolutely clean in her mind, in action, the student will automatically copy him or her. Lectures, you see, will go through the one on air and go out the other one. Teaching by example is the most perfect way. For this, one needs themselves to clean up.
So, related to that, Mr. Bijoy, I think I just have related to what you just said. In the previous round, you had said the products of these days and the products of those days, like in the past, there's a vast difference. So can you give us a little more, can you elaborate a little more on that?
We were taught, various subjects in class 10 and 12. We didn't have 12, we had pre-university those days. I still remember everything about my class student syllabus. Without looking at the textbook, I can still help a student of class 10 till that. Those is not my greatness. Those were the greatness of my teacher.
Yes.
My teacher. Even algebra, formula, geometry, I remember everything till that. Not only me, my friends, my same batch of those days, they are very good in their school level syllabus. What I see nowadays is that a class 10 student finds it difficult to help a class 9 student.
Yes.
That is a big problem. If we forget so soon what we have been taught, then what is the very purpose of going to school learning?
Absolutely.
Like once the Chinese great leader, Chairman Mao Zedong, said that don't learn, don't study, he said. The more you learn, the more you forget. The more you forget, the more stupid you become. So don't study.
Okay.
Then, of course, he said on a very jocular vein, but that is what is exactly happened.
Absolutely.
If what is being taught is not going to be in our mind, and if we don't use it to practice, what is the point of learning so many things? It is a wastage of time.
Yes.
I studied mathematics in my college and other studies, but still then, my knowledge of geometry in class 10 still helping me. My hobby is woodworking, carpentry.
Okay.
My knowledge of geometry is helping me in my hobby of woodworking. About the mechanics, triangle of forces, this, that, center of gravity are still very much in my mind.
Yes.
And if a class 12 pass student can't help or teach a student of class 10, I think there is something seriously wrong with the teaching method.
Yes,
or
absolutely.
teaching process.
That's really that's a very good point you made, Mr. Sage Bijoy. I think in the days, let's say about 20 years back, senior students could actually teach the younger ones. But I don't see that as a trend anymore. In fact, now this is where coaching classes are coming up, and everybody is going to coaching classes rather than taking help from a senior student. So yes, that's a very good point you made over there. I'll come back to you in the next round. Thank you so much for your views. I'll move to Mr. Sapam Shyamananda. Well, why do you think is the education system so result oriented? Because that's generally what is normally seen. Because as we have, at least by now, we've realized that a high percentage doesn't necessarily mean success in life, but that seems to be like what people generally think these days, that if you get a high percentage, that's success in life. So why aren't we exploring and actually creating awareness on other vocational and non-vocational courses rather than just trying to get the high percentage and that sort of a trend?
Yeah, so I think, Utpala, it's a trend. I don't know when it started, but when I was in appearing my board exams, the trend I saw. So if you look at the society, the way we look at it, right? So I mean, but if I can take a step back, so class 10 marks will help you get into a good school or a high school in class 11 and 12. Sometimes in some schools, like I know for a fact that schools like Sainik School, Imphal, if your 10 score is not up to a particular percentage, you're not allowed to take science, and you have to go out of Sainik School and go take arts. And I don't know if that has changed as of now, but there are many schools where the cutoff percentage for 11 standard is set at very high. Similarly, from class 12, again, the 12 marks is considered as the as the base for so many admissions across many colleges in all over India, except I mean for the engineering, medicine, you have to write different exams, IIT JEE or NEET exam and things like that, right? So that race, if you actually in Manipur, there's a very strange and a very I would say unfortunate trend that I have seen is that there is a competition of many high schools. I think it's known by many of us, known to all of us. So I would like to put it on the media today. I'm sure many spokesperson may have mentioned it in the past. There are many schools today who are buying students by paying money, saying that, okay, come to my school, I'll pay you so much. Like the toppers of class 10, if you say the top 10 or top 20, top 30, actually get paid or get bought by the schools, saying that, you come join our school, I'll pay you so much, right? So
it's not like a scholarship, but
not. There's a the word scholarship is being used just to cover that part, right? So I'll give you scholarship for 2 years. Beyond that, I'm also putting so much money on the table. So those kind of things actually is unfortunate, but that is happening in Manipur. And but Bijoy mentioned, Amar mentioned, but in reality, has the student learned enough of the science that she or he wants to go into, right? There is a science. What is that in science that is making the child excited about? Or what is that in arts that is making the child excited about? And how is that particular subject linked to a career that the child has dreamt of, or the child is aspiring to become? That connection is not made. It's like, just like, so many marks in 10. And also, I would request so many media houses in Manipur, the moment the results are out, the moment the results are out, the toppers of the board exam and 12th board exam, 10 board and 12th board, Utpala, you must have seen happening, right?
Right.
As though that boy or that child, that girl has won a gold in Olympics after working 20 years of something, or not 20, maybe 10 years, it is given as important as Meira by Chanu, coming back with a medal, right? So I think that also kind of gives a very bad impression to many children that, okay, if I score so much, then I will, it's an instant gratification, if I can say that word, right? It's an instant gratification. You don't know, so many students in top 10, in board exam in class 10, they succumb to so many other things in class 11 because they opted the wrong subject, and they even fail in class 12 board exam, if I can say. And so many students who has done very well in class 12 board exam are not doing well. However, students who have scored, I'm quoting, I have names, I can give you names later on, people who have scored, I know friends who have scored less than 60% or even between 50 to 60, which is considered very low marks. They've done very well in life because they opted arts as a subject, and they went to one of the best universities in India, completed PhD, and then doing very well in other subjects. So I think this whole tagging of somebody not scoring well in 10 and 12 as a failure, I think we as a society has to stop doing this. And the peer pressure that comes in, the parental pressure that comes into saying that, oh, you are a waste for me because all the comparison happens between 93 and 95 and 98, right? Or my friend's daughter scored 98%, you scored only 93%, look at him, look at her. That comparison we should stop. And I think there are so many movies, so many, I would say, drama, so many things we can always relate to. And I think it's time for the parents to, even if the child is getting, I've seen also the children getting a lot of stress, right? And it's a child's responsibility to say that, okay, it's an exam, and as Amar said it in the beginning, go do your best, but it's not the end. Leave everything to the Almighty, right? And let him decide the best that can happen. And I would say that to have a very positive attitude towards this whole exam thing all over, and not tag any child as saying that you're a failure because you failed in. I have seen someone who failed in their first attempt in class 10 doing very well. Today, I have many friends, right? And that's where, when you cross that 40 years, you'll see what all has happened to so many of the, the toppers and so many of the bottom backbenchers that we call about. So I think that's what I can say, Utpala.
So do you think, can we safely say that 10th is a milestone, or would you rather not call it a milestone, the 10th board exams?
To me, see, it's a milestone, definitely, because if we live in India where class 10 board exams are considered a very big exam, and it's like a lot of hullabulla going on. Media houses keep capturing, in I think Manipur, the count was roughly about 39,000 students, if I'm not mistaken, right? Last year they took. So it's a lot of 39,000 students and 39,000 families and 39,000 parents, involved in the whole process, right? So it's a big one. It's a milestone overall, but don't get so bogged up with okay, I instead of scoring 75% or instead of scoring 95%, if I scored 85, it's not the end. I would still get into a good school between 95 85.
Yes.
But there are students who score very less and who kind of do very badly, and they have to repeat the exam, or they end up going to a not so great high school, and then it trickles down, right? Then you don't do well in 12 and things like that. But I'm again saying that the 12 and 10 board examination scores is not going to decide your career, because you're hardly 15 years old.
Yes.
And 17 years old when your life has not even started. Okay. It's just the first step to a very, very long career if you think of working 60 years for any government or private organization today. But today, entrepreneurship is a big, big thing in India. It's becoming bigger and bigger as we move forward, right? So anybody, a 10 dropout can become an entrepreneur. If you watch Shark Tank India, somebody who's a 10 dropout recently, a very young child came out and said that he's going to he has a dream to buy Bijoy. That's the kind of dreams that young child has got, but he's a 10 dropout, right? So those things are happening, and those should inspire our young, I would say, youth, if I can say, and the school students. And as Bijoy also commented about the system that is happening in Manipur, there's so many kind of corruption or other things that are happening, and I'm sure the present government and many governments in the past have tried to correct it, and I'm hoping that they'll correct this over the period of time. But as a parent today, we should not be always thinking that, okay, my son has to become a MCS officer. I mean, that should not be the only dream. There are many other dreams that we can have, and we should push our students. And 10 and 12 is just the beginning. So please stop tagging your child saying that you're a failure because you failed in class 10, or you didn't fail, probably it's not a good word. So I would say you didn't score 99% in class 10, so you were going to do bad in life is a wrong statement to be ever made, is what I can say, Utpala.
That's a very good point there. Thank you, Shyamananda. If we have time, I'll come to you with another question. So I'll move to Professor Amar Yumnam. Well, Professor, we're talking about education and how parents are related, how parents play an important role in influencing. So do you think, what do you think is the role of parents in influencing their children on which stream to choose? Because we see that that's a general trend. Parents, you probably think their ward is too young to make a decision for themselves. But what do you think at the age of 15 or 17, when they're giving their 10th and 12th boards, do you think they are mature enough to choose, or at least know what they prefer to take in the future, the stream that they would like to?
Before I come to your question, let me make one statement. While we are trying to assess, we always concentrate on the performance of the student. But let us look how exams or such end tests or things like that are used, say, in Europe, America, and in Japan, and now in the nearby countries, Philippines, Thailand. Well, when we have annual exams, class 10 and 12, we should rather be assessing how our education system has prepared our children. Instead of the role the education system has played, we don't think of assessing that, because we don't make our education system accountable for whatever the form in which our children come out. Our children are the products of that system. Are they coming out well? Samantha has said, well, scored so much, but, well, career-wise didn't achieve anything. And such things will not happen in a situation where we assess the performance and efficiency of the education system. Of course, let the children also try their level best with sincerity, but what is important for us is what is well, as I said, India and things like that. And the port say, well, you were asking me. You were asking me something?
Yes, I was asking how parents, do you think that parents influence their children in choosing what stream?
That is exactly where the commitment should be collective as well as personal. Well, now what happens is that all the commitment of the society are at the individual level. We don't share the commitments. But what is important for us is that the collective commitment, shared commitment is paramount. And that will decide how we try to frame our education, our society, or our direction, things like that. So what is much more important now is that let us try to recall and revive and re-establish the social responsibility whereby we create a shared collective responsibility of the society for education. Well, when we have that kind of a thing, there could be competition even among parents to contribute more to the social evolution of the society.
Right.
Otherwise, the way things are, purely private tuition, more, and that's not education. And that will be very unequal situation. And we see now so many parents dropping out their children from the schools because they can't afford providing tuition to the children. Well, things are really bad. Things are really bad. What is much more important now is to see to is that we have a shared collective ethos once again built up in our society where all are equally committed to the education base, education strength of the society. That's important now.
Okay. Thank you, Professor. Thank you for your views. I'll move to Mr. Bijoy now. Mr. Bijoy, what do you think? Do you think that a mandatory aptitude test should be performed to determine the actual interest of the students rather than, as I just asked Professor Yumnam about the parents usually choosing what their children should study further? Do you think there should be some sort of an aptitude test performed so that at least you know which direction the children can go, or what their preference would be, or what they would what they would be better in, rather than taking up a subject that their parents enforce them to?
You see, I have said earlier that aptitude tests and others are done in recruitment to the Air Force or to the Navy for the seminary, etc.
Okay.
But what Professor Amar has said is just what I have said. That is, we must discover the hidden talents of our children and of our students. This is the first thing. We can never make a round flower into a square by putting it into a cave.
Okay.
The flower either will wither away or it will never attain its full natural growth, and it will lack in beauty too. And in our education system, we must include the limit of, or what is it, infinite nature of human potential, physically and mentally. We must never forget that in a history lesson we learned that Chinese traveler Huan and Huan Shang, they walk from China to India just to learn Buddhism. They walk. Just see the great distance. Marco Polo walked from Venice to Peking in search of a Silk Route, etc. These are the human potential. I myself, when I was in class 10, I rode bicycle to Moirang whenever I got a bicycle from my brother just to visit a friend. Okay. Nowadays, what is happening is that our children are refusing to walk 1 kilometer to the shop to buy an item without a scooter or even without giving a car. They think 1 kilometer is too far to walk. That is, the education system is reducing our human potential. We must learn the great minds in the history. Abraham Lincoln, for example, he was a very poor logger. Cutting logs and firewood in a wood cabin. His wood cabin is there still in the USA as a museum. And another thing is that the parents and the teachers, they talk too much about the importance of money. They talk too much about the importance of money. This naturally disheartens the mind of a very poor student who might be having great potential. This should not be done. There are so many great things that can be done without money, as I said earlier. One must be taught to believe in himself. Present education system, recently I have noticed that they are teaching the students to become slave of money. That is, opposite to the freedom spirit that we should teach them. Say, I should apply for the job. No. It will cost me about 30 lakhs. My parents don't have that much money or property.
Right.
So he is necessarily disheartened. And it breaks the human spirit.
Yes.
This should be made punishable. Of course, everybody needs money, but it is not everything. This should be ingrained in the mind of the pillars of our society. You see, I see many disheartened youths, very talented in some other field or other. But when I advise him to do this or that, he say, my parents are very poor. This should never happen. Poor parents has produced many great leaders, great minds in the world. And education system, we are discussing about Manipur. There is something wrong at the national level also. After the 12th exam is off, there will be hundreds of students who scored 100% in 12th class, and they will still not be getting admission in the top DU colleges like St. Stephen's, Hindu, Hansraj, etc. Even 99.9 is a very dim possibility of getting education. In such a situation, should they be discarded? Those who got 90%, 99%, should we say them you are worthless, regardless? There are so many things who got 100%. This is a great mistake. And like friend Sapam has said that the student should never be put under peer pressure. Peer pressure is that his son and daughter has achieved that, and you are worthless, and this and that, and you didn't score it. But that child himself may be better in running or climbing hills, or maybe better in horse riding. Whereas academically better student may not even be walk about 5 kilometers. This breaks and destroys the self-esteem of the young person. Parents should be educated now in this line. Teachers also should be educated how to preserve the self-esteem of their student, how to discover themselves about their hidden potential. And the stories from the past helps a lot about great men like I have mentioned recently. Nowadays there is a series going on radio about about Madame Curie, the inventor of radium, how she suffered hardship while migrating to Paris, this, that. This kind of stories should be carefully taught and absorbed in the mind of things. There is no substitute for hard work, dedication, and honesty. All these are suppressed by the parent teacher. Oh, I don't have money.
Absolutely
This kind of things should not happen. And if possible, I think those teachers and parents, like in Norway, if they educate their children wrongly, the government take away the children or child and keep in government custody. Parents will be deemed to be unfit to raise child. This kind of law, I think, should if it is possible, should be there in Manipur too. Bad parenting and bad teaching. And
Yes,
we must also take a cue from places where best schools are there, like in Finland, South Korea, other countries.
Right.
And in Finland, what is the uniqueness of Finland school is that the students are made very free by their teacher. They are not confined within the four wall of a classroom. And for example, if the student feel cold, Finland is a very cold country.
Right.
They can have classes sitting on the fences of the boundary of the thing, and the teacher will stand and talk with them. But she will talk or he will talk the things related to the syllabus and topic that is to be taught.
Okay.
But the children are happy. There is a saying that if you very serious and a stern face, if you give a sermon to some listener, they will not grab about 10% or 20% of it.
Yes,
But
very true.
while they are laughing, while you crack a joke, while you are laughing and then when they are happy, you say many things. It will enter their mind. Here and the strictness, this kind of thing, closes the mind of the child. Like nowadays, parents are very happy by announcing that my children are in such and such school. I ask, how is the school? They say very strict, very good.
Absolutely.
Very strict, very good means the child is destroyed and he or she will soon become zero after some years.
Right, Mr. Bijoy, I think what you said is really true, because nowadays what's happening is the students seem to be very scared of the teachers. It's not the sort of respect that we had in our days, but they're really scared of the teachers. So I think that fear factor is also kind of stopping them from absorbing what is being taught in school. So what you rightly said, I wish all the teachers would adapt that, use that method of communicating and being able to get down to the level of the student and being a friend, maybe a little strict, because students obviously are not very easy to control, but I don't know, there's a general concept here that if the school is strict, then the child will perform well. So that's a very good point. And
by being strict, it means that capital punishment is given, and such kind of thing. When the teacher and the parent themselves are thinking about money 24 hours a day, what other better things they can teach to their children except being money-wise?
right.
And everybody is not rich. Poor people are in majority, they are in large number, and they also have their own children.
Yes.
This is causing some serious trouble for our future.
Okay, thank you so much for your views once again. I'll move to Mr. Sapam Shyamananda, the last question for tonight. Okay, so, well, Mr. Sapam, examinations are, as we've been discussing throughout, they're not a genuine source of grading a student's knowledge and intelligence. So, what would you like to comment on that the last question for tonight?
I think we have somehow discussed that, right? So I think in the past question also we have, I think, but the today's topic in per se from that was related to preparations for class 10 and 11, 12 questions. I don't know if Amar and Bijoy may have some concluding points, but I think, as I said in the previous round also, Utpala, that this tagging of class 10 and 12 examination scores as the sole source for grading somebody's level of intelligence is not. There are definitely very good students who score very well because they have known the subject, they have learned it, be it from tuition classes, that's the additional support they get, and maybe they know the exam technique and all. And but there are students I know, they may not score very well in class 12, but they may do well in there are many parents competing, so many coaching classes companies fighting amongst themselves, right? So many, one company is claiming that their teachers should not be taken by another company, about Ellen and all this, Aha Guru and all that. So they are pitching for this IIT examinations, and you don't need to do well in your 12. Your 12 score could be just 70% and above, but you might do so well in this coaching classes and you might crack the IIT JEE, right? So those things are there, and tagging the student as a failure in this 10 and 12, as I said in the past, is completely wrong. And I would urge the parents, and I also urge the students to not be bogged down with this 11 and 10 and 12 scores. They're just, I would say, a ticket to the next stage. But going back to the topic from that preparation standpoint, I think I would just highlight. I'll take another 2 minutes, Utpala. So. This is for both the students and the teachers, or rather the parents in particular, right? So first of all, for the students, I think I know a lot of students today, because of COVID, let's blame it on COVID, right? Everybody has a smartphone. Many students today have laptops just given, and because of that, they have access to so many social media applications, and two applications that are widely used in Manipur today, Instagram and Facebook. I would say just go ahead and delete that. Uninstall those apps. Or rather, if you have a mobile phone, the students should actually hand over the phone to their parents. They don't need mobile phones for studying, right? So that's number one. Okay. Number two, we talked about some pointers around stress management. Right. I think if you have a stress, there is something wrong. There is a fear, inherent fear within you, saying that, okay, I may miss out some subject, some chapters here and there. You're in the last few days of exam is over. Too much of stress is just going to cause more stress, more panic, and more sleepless nights. So don't have that. Think through it and do your best, right? And third and fourth is very important. Rather, fifth is very important. Tamo Bijoy touched a little bit on that. There is a complete physical, mental, and emotional toll on students when these exams are concerned. So I'd say, get a proper sleep. Don't have lack of sleep. It will cause more and more problems to your body, who's, again, as Tamo Bijoy said, right? You've never been exposed to any form of exercise. Class 11 and 12, only exams and only tuitions and everything. They don't even go and climb the hill, as Tamo Bijoy rightly said. So get a proper sleep, at least 7 hours a night. Have some very good diet, soft diet, not very oily, diet that is good for your body. And also do some light exercise. Maybe today we've lost all the pond and nice trees around our houses, at least in Imphal city that we live in. So I don't know, maybe use the terrace and go have a light walk. That will freshen your mind. And last, this is for the parents. Parents' support is very critical, and we all know about this saying, right? That Thobal Khong Chapubu Kai Neba Yebra. So that saying itself says that let's not beat up too much. Let's not cause more stress by yelling at our children, but to our children. We're providing all the support. If the child wants to wake up tomorrow at 6 o'clock, if the child is telling their parents, please wake me up 6 o'clock, maybe my alarm will not work, help the students. Watch the student from a distance. How is my child coping up for the exams? What is causing the stresses? And I think that support from the parents is very critical, from an emotional standpoint, and that will give more self-esteem, more confidence, boost the confidence, and boost the morale of the child. That, okay, my parents are behind me, come what may. Whether I score 95 or whether I score 85, my father will still give me the pat on the back. That should be the confidence level. And to the parents and students, all the very best for the coming exams. And let's leave it to the Almighty God, right? I think there is definitely many careers that they can choose despite the marks in 10 and 12. And I wish them all the best from my side, and maybe some concluding remarks from Tamo Amar and Tamo Bijoy also.
Okay, thank you so much for your for your views and points. Well, that actually brings us to the end of our open debate. Okay, so I think what we can take away from today's debate is the society should be clear on what it wants. Parents need to keep an open mind. Education is to cultivate free thinkers, and children should get that. And as Mr. Sage Bijoy said, make your own toys. That would increase your creativity as well as scientific mind. And of course, we need to reform social responsibility, discover hidden talents, and should be taught to believe themselves. Students should be taught to believe themselves. That's the responsibility of the parents. So that brings us to the end of our open debate. I would like to thank our three panelists once again.
All the best to all the students.
Right. All the best to all the students.
May I have a last word?
Oh, yes, please go ahead.
For these students. You see, after the results are out, so-called social workers and the politicians and the future candidates will come out in the reception of toppers. Okay, it is good. But do something about the potential dropouts, those who have failed. Encourage them, support them to try again and do better next time. This is one thing. And lastly, I want to tell students that even at a time so close to the exam, exercise helps to improve the brain because of the blood flow, and it helps to calm the mind. Don't confine yourself with the book. Do some workout, some exercise, not a heavy one. Like our friend, Brother Sapam has said, exercise helps to make a good student. Don't forget that. Thank you.
Thank you so much once again to all the three panelists. So it's the time to take care of yourselves mentally as well as emotionally as well as physically. To all the students who will be appearing for the exams, all the best. And now I'd like to thank our viewers for watching our show. Please do not forget to leave your precious feedback and do let us know if there are any social issues that you'd like us to cover in our show. Thank you all. I'm your host Longjam Utpala signing off for tonight. See you again next Monday with another exciting topic. Stay safe and have a good night.